firemen. They save people and they put out fires. Or do they? Ray Bradbury, through his novel Fahrenheit 451, expresses concern about a dire future. In this serious science fiction, many things are kept well hidden. Through his expressive use of metaphors and imagery, Bradbury set the scene of a futuristic dystopia with control at its center. Bradbury preferred to use stronger descriptive words over quick and simple ones. This led to a fantastic display of writing talent and a trove full of secrets to uncover. Guy Montag is the protagonist of Fahrenheit 451, and where our story begins. Montag's life on the surface is great. He works as a fireman, he's married and not impoverished. Every day as a fireman, he travels to new houses to burn them to the ground. That's right. In this world, firemen are called to burn. What do they burn? Books. Books are completely outlawed. In the beginning, the reason for why is pretty unclear, but Montag doesn't care. As the book progresses, Montag meets a peculiar woman named Clarice. Clarice is peculiar because she thinks. She thinks and asks questions, and in this society, that's an oddity. After meeting her, Montag begins to think too. Later, a man named Beatty explains why firemen burn books. According to the rulebook, firemen have always burned books. Beginning in the 1800s to burn English-infested books? This clearly isn't true, and he wants to learn more. This newly acquired thinking deals Montag a terrible hand, as his secret stash of books is discovered and reported by his own wife. Beatty, the chief of the fire department, orders Montag to burn his own house down. After doing so, Montag burns Beatty alive. Montag, now a criminal, escapes via the river into the forest to discover a previous group of librarians, professors, and historians. Together, they read and memorize books to restore their knowledge forever. One morning, after eating a nice fire-cooked breakfast, they view upon the city and see a display of government totality. Secrets hidden within the city are eclipsed by the impending doom of bombs falling one after the other. Eventually, nothing is left but a pile of smoldering rubble. Only one character actually changes and shows growth by the end of the story. That character is Guy Montag. Originally, Montag was just as mindless as every other citizen of the city, listening to radios and watching television to fill in every gap of life. After his encounter with Clarice, he begins to think, ponder, wonder. What if this? How does that? This new train of thought eventually crashes, with his wife turning him in and changing him into a criminal. Once he escapes the city, Montag begins to think once more. Is she? What if she? He realizes his wife never actually loved him, and thus his final moment of growth lies before us. Montag essentially enlightens. He knows who he is, what he is, how he is, why he is. Montag has become an individual capable of freely thinking. The same cannot be said for his wife, Mildred. Mildred is, for lack of a better term, a drone. She's fully controlled by the government through their use of radios, televisions, and marketing. She's not the only one like herself, however. Nearly the entire population is a group of adrenaline junkies, serotonin seekers, and mindless robots. Mildred represents the entirety of her population and what they represent. The reason the population is mindless is because of the overuse of short-form media. Television is fast-paced, colorful, and exciting, leaving viewers with nothing to do but keep watching. And radios, though, they need to get their word limit within a certain time, so they speak fast and they get their point across, and viewers can't even think. Marketing is so widespread that even their walls display advertisements. Overall, Mildred, much like most of the population, does not change. Her stagnancy acts as a fertilizer for Montag's growth because of this. And although Mildred is not the only character to represent their society, in fact, I don't think she's the best. That title goes to the mechanical hound. In this year, the mechanical hound is humanity's crowning achievement, a robotic, 8-legged dog that never fails to accomplish its mission. Used in police and fire stations alike, the mechanical hound is everywhere. The defining feature of the mechanical hound is its proboscis. Within this needle-like tooth lies a massive dose of morphine, capable of tranquilizing any living creature it catches. Mechanical hounds are programmed to protect law-abiding citizens, but the hound in Montag's fire department was different. Whenever Montag walked by, it would sometimes growl or even pounce at him. Beatty, the chief, denied any claims that it would have been tampered with and just said it's an error. Later, it's revealed that Beatty did reprogram it to attack Montag. The reason the hound represents their society so well is because it does what it's told. That's it! The government programs it to do its job, and it does. The government tells it to stay put, and it does. Much like the entire population. It knows nothing beyond what it is told and what the government allows it to know. Beatty represents the government in this situation, telling the hound what to do, how to act, what to think. Beatty is the chief of the fire department within our unnamed city. Beatty, much like Mildred, never changes throughout the story. He starts off by seeming like a close friend to Montag. And as Montag's story progresses, however, Beatty is setting a metaphorical bear trap. And once Beatty discovers Montag's illegal book storage, this trap sets off. The fire alarm sets off. Montag rushes to the fire truck along with Beatty and his team, only to realize the destination is his own home. Mildred, with her briefcase full of deceit, flees the scene. Montag is tasked with setting his own home alight. After burning it to the ground, his legs stop moving. Beatty, as expected, begins to ridicule him. "Montag, you idiot! Montag, you damn fool! Why did you really do it?" Montag flips the safety on his flamethrower for the last time. Beatty stays atop himself. "Go ahead now, you second-hand literature. Pull the trigger." Beatty's coherence fades away as his body burns a bright inferno. His screams almost give one final laugh to Montag. Beatty never changed in life nor in death. He stayed true to himself. Beatty may have possibly been smarter than the rest of the population, but that meant nothing to him. He wanted to see Montag fall. From reprogramming their mechanical hound to setting Montag's house ablaze, Beatty wanted to see Montag fall. As I mentioned before, Bradbury loved to use advanced language and literary techniques, two of his favorite techniques being foreshadowing and symbolism. Foreshadowing is, in my opinion, the separation between a good book and a timeless one. Of Mice and Men used incredible foreshadowing that left me a changed man. Fahrenheit 451 did the exact same thing, starting all the way back at the cover page. What does that title even mean? While writing this book, Bradbury needed a title, so he called the local fire department and asked one question. What temperature does paper burn at? The response? 451 degrees Fahrenheit. The next prominent example of foreshadowing lies within Montag's ventilator. After work, he walks in the house, sees the ventilator, and is struck with fear and remembrance of what lay within. Looking up at the ventilator grill in the hall, and suddenly remember that something lay hidden behind the grill, something that seemed to peer down at him now. Later, we learn that this ventilator hid an illegal stash of books Montag had acquired. The symbolism within Fahrenheit 451 is even more prevalent than the foreshadowing. As mentioned previously, Montag represents change. Mildred and the Hound represent society, and Beatty, he represents the government. However, there are two more examples I would like to discuss. The bombings at the end and Montag's final thought. The bombings of the nameless city represent two things by itself. It represents the abrasive action of the government and the escalating solutions found by that same government. The government, after discovering the amount of illegal book storages within the city, decide to mercilessly bomb it without warning. The government is capable of simply bombing their troubles away. But more importantly, the bombing represents the escalation of troubles. The government could have just leveled the city with a single nuke and been done with it. But instead, they chose to repeatedly bomb it. Why? These bombs send a message. One bomb after the other, repeatedly hitting the buildings and slaughtering them and people within them. Each bomb represents the world becoming worse and worse and worse. After the bombings, Montag is left but with one thought. If he and his group manage to rebuild society, the first thing that they would build is a mirror factory. Then, society can see itself and know everything. The symbolism here couldn't be clearer through a mirror. The only thing society needs to do to change is to look at itself and think.